All right. Is this thing on? Can you hear me now? Are we live on the interwebs? Welcome, everybody. Andy here from Andy Parish Outdoors. Thanks so much for joining me 8 o'clock here on this Thursday evening. I've got a treat for you all tonight. We've got some special guests. But before I bring them out, I wanted to do a quick thank you. The channel went through kind of a big milestone here just since the first of the year. We crossed over 2,000 subscribers. So thanks so much. I really appreciate all the support. It's been really cool to have you guys along for this journey of just, doing all the outdoor adventures and posting it and getting to meet different folks in the outdoor and backpacking community. It's been a lot of fun. And I really enjoy the opportunity just to keep being creative and, hearing comments and thoughts and how I can improve things and trying to figure out, just what kind of content you guys really like to see. And, luckily there's enough of you out there that like what I like. And that's really, I think, why I started this in the first place, was to just, share what I like to do and capture that for my own memories. But it's really been neat to see other people kind of join on board and share in the conversations. We do have the live chat running tonight, so I am watching that. There were some folks here that were here early, even before the show even started. So that was pretty neat to see too. Of course, a toast to everybody. Thanks so much for being here. If you have a tasty beverage and you want to join us, great. Post that in the comments what you're drinking tonight. Everything from lemonade, iced tea to maybe a little. Again, I'm drinking the Woodford Reserve double oaked, and I'm a huge fan. So this is the good life. So all right. That's enough rambling on for now. Let's get to the main event. Is that what we're calling it? We're going to bring out two folks that you may know. Brian from Carlson Adventures and Chris from that hiking guy is going to be gracing us with their presence tonight, talking a little bit about what they've been up to in 2021, a little bit of what they've got in store for 22, and we're going to talk a little bit about a new endeavor that they're working on right now, which is a brand new channel. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk a little bit more about what that channel is and its purpose. And we'll go through just kind of the normal conversation. We'll interact with you too, so you can post comments and thoughts along the whole way. We'll see that. And we'll also hold a time right around the 9 o'clock hour. When we're about an hour into this, we'll switch over and do just straight question and answer. So if you got something particular that you want to hammer either Brian or Chris about, wait for that 9 o'clock hour, and we'll read the questions off. We'll put them on the spot and do all that. We'll do a little bit of that on the way, but we'll really focus on that once we get to about that 9 o'clock hour, and then we'll wrap it up and be done. So maybe an hour and a half. We'll see how it goes. But let's bring those guys out right now. Here we got Brian and Chris. Hey, welcome everybody.
How we doing, everybody?
How are you guys doing?
Oh,
Doing
man.
good.
Fantastic.
Not sure, Chris.
Oh, you mean
What do you got
old,
on there?
This old rag?
Oh, look at
look at
that.
A little representing.
That's a collector's item.
Right?
You can sell that on eBay. They're like mellies,
Yeah,
you know?
You could. I just sell mine on Teespring, but
Well, if you want your
Cheers,
own,
Andy.
you can go to Teespring. Yeah, cheers all the way around.
Cheers.
Chris,
All right, let me
you
get
got
this
lemonade?
camera a little bit centered there. Otherwise, I'm going to be off screen.
So is this what it looks like for talkie pictures to be moving?
Oh, well, it's funny you should say that. Kind of the thoughts of, is this what an actual live stream looks
Yeah.
like?
Yeah.
Well, we hope. We're barely 10 minutes in or 5 minutes in or something like that. So bear with us in case we have any technical difficulties. But it is entertaining if you guys haven't had a chance to go over and watch,
Oh, man.
especially last night's live stream
Train wreck, man.
that Chris and Brian put together. I watched the whole, I came after it was done. I had a late evening, but came in and was reading some of the comments or the chat stuff, and then I jumped into the stream. I had to kind of watch it from the beginning all the way through, and it was like something that you knew you wanted to turn away and not look at. But it was so entertaining that you guys just kind of kept with it and ran with it. So like kudos to you for plowing through.
Had you seen the pictures actually moving, you would see the stress on my face as I tried to figure out what was going on. And it was awful. And
I tried to watch 5 minutes of it today, and I was just like, oh, I feel bad for everybody that even tried to watch that. Like we had just, you know how it is. You plan it all out. We wanted to have a good show for everybody. And, you know, Chris even had me surprised. He kept telling me all day, I got a surprise for you, blah, blah, blah. And boom, he's got Hoot. So we're like, oh, this is going to be a great show. Flop, you know. So.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes. You know, we were joking about, you know, in the green room before we came out, just talking about, you know, how this all works in the background when, you know, before you hit the live, you know, go live button. Oh, this is great. I can hear everybody, sounds good, looks good, everything. And then you hit go, and then just stuff starts to happen sometimes. So, you know, you kind of got to deal with that a little bit. If it's really bad and cameras cut out altogether, but at least yours was kind of funny from the standpoint that, like, Hoot, he would show up at different points in the room. It was like, oh, wait, he's sitting next to Chris. No, wait, he's in the background over there. And it was like he teleported. I'm like, how does he do that?
He kept getting up. He was like, I'm like, where are you going? He's like, hit his head on my chandelier back here like 3 times. So
I will definitely put a link at some point if I can go find that live stream and put it in the comments, or if you guys get a chance, do that too. Because it's worth watching later tonight after the stream is done and we're all set. Go check that out. But let's anyways, right? Before we dive too far into your live streaming stuff, let's talk a little bit about what you guys did. You know, we're into 22, so wrapping up 21. How was 21 for you guys with all the outdoor adventures? What were some big things that you guys did? You know, give us kind of a summary of what your experiences was in the outdoor life.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I mean, lots of overnight trips, weekend trips. Let's see, Chris and I tried to hike the Tecumseh Trail and thought we were going to die. Tornadoes coming through. That was probably the most scared I've been on a backpacking trip. I've been in the woods my whole life, growing up hunting and then into backpacking. And when you're sitting in your hammock and the winds are literally rocking you and your phone goes off, says take shelter immediately, tornado in your area, and the skies have that gray look, you know, we're just looking at each other like, is this it? You know? So that was an exciting trip too. My wife
was that on the Tecumseh? Was that on the Tecumseh? Where were you guys at? Where were you guys camping that night?
So, well, we took shelter. So that's my only excuse. There's a spot before you would get to the Charlie shelter, a couple miles, it'd be north of there, kind of going down the hill a little bit. We're still on private property.
Yeah,
so
that strip of private.
Yeah. But I mean, it was like we had to. We were real careful when we left the next morning that we left no trace because I felt horrible.
Right.
I don't like to do that. I like to play by the rules, set the example. Right. And so we just had to. But we kind of went over the hillside a little bit, and our escape plan was, hey, if something is coming, we can go on over this ridge and try to seek shelter in that creek bed down there. But it was kind of like grab your butt and hang on. It was a wild ride that night.
Yeah. So is that the shelter? Is Charlie Shelter the one where you cross the road, you have like 3/4 of a mile, then that big climb up to Charlie Shelter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? So were you guys down below the big hill?
We were on the other side of the creek, on this side of the creek, and that creek that you saw in that video is the one we had to cross because we only had a little bit farther to go, not very far at all.
Okay.
But it just came in and we're like, it was just beating down rain. So yeah, I mean, that was a great trip. We had fun that day. We crushed miles. I mean, we did like an 18.5-mile day. It was fun, but it ended up pretty scary. And Hooks and Hammocks, we called him. He came and got us. So
it was hot too. It was like 95 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's brutal. We did it early in the spring, early April, like first week or something like that. And it wasn't terrible. The leaves were just starting to come out. The big thing was like, you'd have the big temperature swing. So it'd be, 65, 70 degrees maybe during the day. And then you'd have 40 at night. So you'd have a little bit of that. And if you get rain, it can get pretty chilly, but great time to do it. So, you guys did Tecumseh. What were the other things that you hit?
So I did that. Like I said, just a lot of local trails this year. My wife and I went on a 7 or 8 day trip up to Michigan. We took my Tacoma. I've got the rooftop tent up into Michigan, hit Drummond Island, and we stayed there for 2 days, and then just literally went all the way across the UP, staying at campsites every night.
Oh, wow.
We hit up north of Copper Harbor. If you know how the peninsula kind of scoops up and there's a little point, there's a place called High Rock Bay. If you ever get up there, you need 4-wheel drive to get there. It's a pretty rutted out trail, but I mean, it was an incredible trip. So that was our biggest one for the year, but just a lot of just camping and just hiking around here, really.
2 trips to the gorge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, you had 3. You had 3 because you went once with me, once with Hoot, and then again with the big group.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. I was gonna say, I could think of 2. So much happened. I did get out quite a bit. I know, like October and through November, I was joking with you. I said, man, I've got the greatest wife. I've been out 5 weekends in a row. So
you went all the way up
right
here,
there,
that
all the way up to the
end?
very, very tip point up there, right up in there.
Oh, wow.
I was looking at that little island right there. That's Manitou, I believe, or something like that.
Manitou Island.
Oh, yeah, that's a great place.
Yep, I could see that lighthouse, but on that very point, on the southern tip right there, that's called High Rock Bay, right there.
Okay.
And it was just, I've got the coolest drone shots I think I've ever captured up there. There was one of those big earth roamers up there. It was awesome.
That's really cool. I've never been to the Upper Peninsula. We're actually looking to maybe do a trip in February up in the snow and try and do at least an overnight or 2 at Pictured Rocks and just see what that would be like in the dead of winter. It's like the one time a year where you can actually get permits and not fight people for it. So
I know there's a town on the west side of where Pictured Rock ends, Munising.
Yeah.
And first time I was ever up there, my wife and I, we went on the boat trip, and just to see Pictured Rocks from the boat, we thought it'd be cool to, tour that. And the guy was telling us there in Munising, I think their average yearly snowfall is like 23 feet. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know how they put up with it. I couldn't.
Yeah, all the lake effect snow, I got to imagine it's just,
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at it the other day too, and it was all kind of going northwest to southeast as it was coming across. So this shoreline was just getting absolutely pounded with snow.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 out of the next 7 days. Guess what? We're getting snow.
Yep.
So I was like, that sounds like a pretty cool winter, as long as it's not, blizzard or you're going to get snowed in kind of stuff. And if that's the case, then we'll probably do something in Lower Peninsula, have a backup. So we're driving up or something, and then we'll have somewhere to go that is maybe less, the chance of getting snowed in or whatnot. So
yeah, it's definitely some serious weather up there along the Great Lakes.
Yeah, I've only been for Lake Superior. I've done up in Minnesota, so we've done some stuff up driving through Duluth and then up into the Boundary Waters, which is really cool. But it's midsummer, you don't have any of the wind is usually going in the other direction,
right?
But if you're up there long enough, you're going to get storms and whatnot. But that's really been the only experience I've had with that. So Brian, what else in 21 did you guys do?
Oh,
what did you do,
man? I don't know. I've got a YouTube channel. I pretty much, filmed it all. Now, like I said, it was a lot of stuff. My wife and I, we get out. We've got a camper, and we'll go out and just do the glamping thing a lot of weekends through the summer. Because when it's 90 degrees, it sure is nice to go into the camper and have a nice cold beer and relax and not sweat and hit the campgrounds. Totally agree. We went for a week to. It's on Monroe Lake. It's totally, what's that campground I go to all the time over the Chris on Monroe? Why can't I think of it? Paynestown. Yeah, gosh, it escapes me.
On the North Shore there?
Yeah, we just took a week and took our camper over there from Sunday when everybody was leaving until Friday morning when everybody was coming back. We had the campground. There's a dozen or so people. So, kayaked and hung out.
Yeah, that's neat right along the lake.
Yeah, we were just laughing. We're like, we're really not doing anything at all, but it's just relaxing. You're not at home. You're off work. You're not at home because if you're off work and home, you're going to be doing something around the house. So it was
How did you
nice. Just
shower?
I have a shower in my camper.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
Oh yeah,
you get kind of ripe after 3 days. I know I've been on the trail with you.
right. Yeah, shower in the
Embrace the
camper, man.
stink. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, very cool. Yeah, we try and do. We were actually at Paintown Memorial Day this past year, so it's a great spot if you want to do boating or just spend some family time and do that stuff. Bring the camper down. We've got a little pop up, so bring the family down. There's usually a couple other families that join us for Memorial Day. Let the kids run around, do their thing, and then somebody usually has a boat that they bring, and then we usually rent like a pontoon boat and just tool around Lake Monroe. It's fun. It was a little chilly this year, but most years, it can be 80, 90 degrees by Memorial Day. Who knows?
Yeah. What'd you do, Chris?
I'm trying to think. I don't remember.
Well, you've been searching for ponds. I know that.
Yeah, like a six ponds. Saw an arch in Indiana. What else? I didn't do a lot of big stuff. I stayed, but I've some hot tenting. I did hot tenting in the winter. A lot of low stuff.
Where do you go for hot tenting? Where do you like to go?
There's a place called Sundance Lake in the Hoosier, and I love it. And I also did one of the cool places that I went to was the Indian Point Trail over at Garden of the Gods area in Illinois. And then I also did Christmas. I did Land Between the Lakes like I did this Christmas. I did it last year as well, in the same spot. But that's a lot. A lot of my stuff was local. I didn't go, but there's all kinds of stuff that I discovered, like out at the Deem. I mean, it's ridiculous how much we don't know what was out there.
Yeah, there's a lot to explore. I mean, I've only kind of tapped, it's like an iceberg. You see the tiny little sliver above, but there's so much more to see.
That's why we're doing that. That's why we're doing that trip here next month. I want to give everybody the experience that I had finding those ponds. Not that it's some great experience, but it's like you take. I'm going to lead a group out there to camp around one.
Well, you were. I think Brian was telling me about it. Meeting that Saturday morning at like 8 a.m. And I told him, I said, you must not know me very well if you think I'm driving all the way down there and I'm making it by 8 a.m.
Well,
you might have to shoot me the GPS coordinates and I'll have to bushwhack in and find you.
I think even if you showed up on Friday night, you wouldn't be up at 8 a.m.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
That was going to be my joke, was even if I did go down the night before, you guys would probably be there and hanging out for a while before I rolled out of bed. And if Brent comes along, it's even later because, it might be 10:30 before we see his face.
I love your videos, Andy, because you're like, oh yeah, we're just getting camp packed up, ready to go, and it's like 10:15. I'm like, I've got 5 miles in by then. You guys sleep late, man. That's for sure.
On the Colorado trip, there was actually a scene where I was like, I'm not even telling you when I'm getting up because I know we're going to miss that time and I'm going to feel bad the next day when I post it on the video. Oh, we'll be up at 8:30 and we'll be on the trail by 9. And we're up and, I'm waking him up at 10 o'clock and, we're cooking bacon and then we're like, maybe we can be on trail by noon. That happens sometimes.
We do that.
Which is why we had to change the trip a little bit so that we planned for, especially early on, shorter days. So it was like, all right, we only got 4 miles. It's elevation and whatnot, but we got 4 miles. We could do that.
Yeah.
So even if we don't start till 11 o'clock, we could get 4 miles in before it gets bad.
So the reason I said it at 8 because I know people and I know that that's not realistic. So it'll probably be 9:30 before we. But we're only going 2 miles. We're not going very far.
You're smart like that. I do that with my kids. You're like, all right, we're going to leave to go wherever we're going at 4 o'clock. I really want to leave by 5, but if I tell them 4, there's a chance we're getting out of there by 5. That's funny.
This ain't my first rodeo having a group.
Nope. Nope. So how many you hoping? Because that's what, February. You're doing a cold weather. Tell everybody about it.
It's basically February 5th at the Deem. We're gonna at Charles D. Deem Wilderness. We're gonna camp out the night before on Friday the 4th. A bunch of us, but we're gonna hit the trail. And I'm going to lead a group, which might include bushwhacking, by the way, to one of these abandoned ponds. And it's about maybe 2.5 miles from the horse camp. It's not, Brian's seen it. It's not anything. There's no crazy elevation. It's just a group. And then when we get to the pond, we're going to camp around it or camp near it. And that's the funny part about it, is that there's no guarantee you're going to get 2 trees that are perfectly spaced apart or any flat spots. You have to adapt, overcome, and improvise. So that's what we're going to hopefully get people to do. Yeah, that's right.
I'll be there eventually. I promise. I'll be there eventually. It's just,
I can send you the coordinates to where we're going, and you just show up when you want to, Andy. You just
it'd be like 1:30 in the afternoon.
Right.
Andy strolls in.
Look, Andy's decided to join us. You're coming in with a little latte in your hand, hiking in.
I'll say you're pretty good with coordinates.
It might be the whole collection, Hey, I brought Starbucks. Who wants some?
Starbucks.
I'll be that guy.
One thing that I think Willie Outdoors is in the chat. I need Gretchen to bring snickerdoodles. That is y'all's admission fee, because she had snickerdoodles at the meetup, and man, they were good. So I'm gonna need them again. That's what I'm saying.
That's important to know.
Yeah.
I agree, and enough to share.
Yeah,
right.
Big tub of them.
You're not just talking about it's payment for you. It's
right.
Bring a whole tray, maybe 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna need them, because I didn't trip and get this fat. So come on.
Now, if people want more information about that, Chris, where can they find out anything more? Are you posting anything like that?
I posted an event on our Facebook, our Campfires and Catholes Facebook page. There is an event there, so that's where I have it, so they can find it there. And that's about the only place. And or contact me. I'll let you know.
Well, tell everybody a little bit about, since we're, maybe not everybody knows what the Campfires and Catholes is. And part of today was I really wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about that. What's the origin story behind that? But you mentioned it. So tell a little bit about what that is.
Basically, Brian needs subs. So he came to me and he said, hey, what do you think about doing something together so I can get more subs? And I'm like, okay.
There's nothing we can do. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, I've been trying to help you for a year, buddy. You're on your own now. No, we wanted to do an outdoor live stream. I mean, there's no shortage of them, right? There's tons of them, but we wanted to do one as well, just to put Indiana on the map, put us on the map. I know a lot of people, you think of Indiana, you don't think of that we have a lot, and you would be correct. However, what we do have is pretty awesome. So we came up. Oh, Brian, tell a story about the name. Tell a story about the name.
Well, like Chris said, we all enjoy the live streams. That's why everybody that's in the chat right now and us 3 are here, because it's fun to interact with the people you watch when they put the videos out, right? I mean, it's like, hey, I've watched Andy's videos. It's nice to meet you on, when we met at the YouTube meetup, and it's just nice to chat with like-minded people and people who enjoy the outdoors like we do. And so we were out at the Deem on the Copilot Trail, and we're talking more and more. I'm like, come on, Chris, let's just do one. Let's just, you and I, we got a good banner. We love to pick on each other, and a lot of the guys in here that camp with us, they'll pick on us. And it's just good fun. It's just, this is kind of like being around the campfire to me. It's like you're hanging out with your buddies, just shooting the breeze around the campfire. And so we decided, okay, we're going to do it. And, we have to have a name. Let's get a catchy name, and it needs to encompass everything from campfires. And we're like, yeah, campfires to what? I mean, just the whole gamut of everything. And I just blurt out Catholes, and I know kind of Chris looked at me and who was like, "Ooh, that's good. You
We
guys,
like that.
you know, no way you're going to do that." I'm like, I'm all down with it. I think it's having fun. You know what I mean? It's just like campfires and cat holes. That encompasses everything about backpacking, doesn't
The
it?
best and the
So,
worst.
right. So, I mean, that's how that came up. It's just,
How far back was that? Like, how long have you guys been thinking about doing this?
We've not, but not very long ago.
Not real
So
long,
it's
yeah.
pretty quick. Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Southern hike seen my sign.
we got maybe 3 or 4 months that we've been like actively working on it. The only reason we have merch out, show them the merch, Brian. Show them the merch,
Yeah.
Brian.
We got the campfires and cat holes.
Yeah, they even have merch already
Right?
for the new channel. That's pretty cool.
Basically, what I did was I designed that, and then I'm like, well, we don't have a. I'll go ahead and put it on my Teespring. So it's on my Teespring. You can get one of those on my Teespring, but and I can I can give you a link for that. But that's I've got some graphics that I bought, and I'm like, okay, this is great. And we went through a few iterations, and actually I designed Carlson's logo too. Kind of,
Yep.
I designed this as well, same kind of way. So that's we just decided to go with it, man, because
Right.
we're competing with all the other live streams out there, yourself included now.
Well, it sounds like you guys plan on doing it more regularly. Mine's been pretty sporadic, and I tend to do a lot more wintertime. I did 3 or 4 last winter because you're kind of holed up, and you know you miss talking to actual people. So you're like, hey, let's do the live stream thing. Now we've got the technology to do that, and I'll probably do that periodically through 22 of maybe doing once a month, something like that. Maybe that's timely, whatever's going on. But I really have always liked the folks that are doing this. Hey, we're doing it every Thursday. We're doing it every Friday. We're doing, and you guys are looking at doing it every Wednesday. Is that right?
Yeah, we're going to do twice a month, every other Wednesday. The only reason we did the thing is because we had a giveaway. We had a giveaway this, but we're going to, see, we've only done 3, so we're not that far into it.
No.
Yep. Yeah, every other Wednesday. I mean, like Chris was saying, the only reason we did it 2 Wednesdays in a row is because the giveaway. We didn't want to make people wait 2 weeks, and you kind of forget the giveaway or whatever. So, but that was I really like the giveaway. That we got Kill Quest won a T-shirt for me.
Yeah,
and I've already contacted them, talked to them, and I've already got it ordered and sent on their way. Hooks and Hammocks, he won a mug with DMS's logo. DMS, he gave us a mug to give away, and then Chris gave away the Hinterlands book to Tanya Browning.
Yep, still have it, by the way. I haven't mailed it. Sorry, Tanya. I'll get it in the mail.
What
I promise.
A slacker!
I know.
I got with Hooks today. Got his address and sent it over to Mark. He's gonna be shipping it out.
Yeah, if you guys, I hear like if you guys want a Campfires and Cat Holes hoodie, I'll give you the link to my Teespring. You can buy one, and really, I set the price of those the lowest that they would let me. I make no money off that. That's like I think I make $1.16 off of that. So that price you see is the lowest price you will ever get, and it's going to stay that price. That's
what I did with mine when I finished my store up today. Because Ross was like, hey, man, I want the whatever kind of I can't remember what kind of shirt it was now, Tribal End or something. I'm like, I'm working on it, man. Let me finish getting it set up. So I got it set up so he could order one. And same thing. I set the price all the way down as low as they'll let you, to where, you're not making any profit, but it's just break even. It's just, you buy the shirt and you have to pay shipping. It's like, I'm not looking to make any money off of it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Well, we've got a good group of people here already.
Oh yeah,
watching in. So
and Michael Peterson
and Michael Peterson. Well,
a good group and Michael Peterson.
That's all right. He'd probably be the first one to do the opposite to us. So we love you, Michael, or we are
love you,
legally
buddy.
obligated to tell you that.
Yeah. Buckley, promises of low prices that never go up. Sketchy.
Yeah, very cool. Well, keep it up, guys. We see your chats. We'll keep. I'm gonna start throwing a couple of those up on the screen just so everybody has a chance to see. Tim, we're happy to see you here. I saw Tanya was here, and Keith was here, and Taylor was here, and a whole bunch. Willie's here. So welcome. We appreciate everybody stopping by to razz these guys a little bit and give them the business. Like I said earlier, when we get to the 9 o'clock hour, we'll do a little Q&A. So if you've got something specific that you want to put them on the spot for, hey, more power to you. We'll let you fire away. But until then, raise a glass and cheers to everybody here. So, okay, we talked a little bit about. Well, talk a little bit more about with Campfires and Catholes.
Sure.
We talked to the origin.
Mhm.
What's the plan going forward? What do you guys envision for this? How often are you going to be doing it? What's the format? How do you see it playing out?
I think one of the things that I'd like to do with it is one of the things that's great about it is that we can actually connect with people and have like an event like we're planning. So that I see that as I'm froze again. Sorry, everybody says I'm froze.
Yeah,
no, you've done that twice. It's just kind of frozen.
I know. It's because I have the original Apple computer.
You got net zero.
So
the Apple IIe. Wait, is it the Apple IIe? You got that right?
So
like 1984.
You've got mail.
86. That was before that.
I like the part about going on hikes with people. I love that part of it. I also like the part, and here's the thing. I don't mind talking backpacking. I like doing it more than talking about it, but I don't begrudge talking about gear or anything. And I know my boy here is a big gearhead, so and I know, so I let him handle that part of it. Really, it's just a way for me to find another outlet to make that's what she said jokes, but it's I do like the community. I do like the community aspect of it. That's so going forward. That's what I envision of it, is just getting more guests in, talking about interesting things, talking about like a single subject live stream. Like what are your wildlife experiences? What have you seen on the trail?
Yeah.
So stuff like that. So I don't know what Brian's vision of it is, but let's hear from Brian.
My vision is just every other week just to get on camera and look at your face. No, same thing. I've always enjoyed, ever since I've got in the YouTube thing, I've always thought it was cool to get into live chats and just, like I said, BS and learned so much over the years from other YouTubers and guys that came before us. And we plan to have guests on too. We were going to have Hooks and Hammocks on. He got a little under weather, so we've had to reschedule. So maybe next time, if he's feeling good, maybe we can put him on then. That's the plans anyways, have him back on. And just other guys. I mean, heck, Andy would like to have you on. There's a list of, I want to start with, and I don't know what Chris thinks, I'd like to start with our local guys first and then just branch out to, there's so many great YouTubers out right now that are in our genre of the outdoor world, and it's so hard for me to even keep up anymore. I've got to watch YouTube almost nonstop just to watch everybody's awesome trips and gear reviews. That's all I watch. I could get away with, forget regular TV. I watch YouTube, but that's my plan, is just having guys on, maybe doing some giveaways, maybe getting together a couple times a year. I really enjoy the YouTube meetups that we've had. That was
you guys did a really cool one. The Red River Gorge one was really neat to see. So many different faces that came. You had I think Tim, who's in the chat, came all the way from South Dakota. You had guys that were coming, I think, from Minnesota.
Taylor from Georgia.
You had Georgia.
Metro on the move.
Metro was there. So far that everybody came distance wise. That was so cool to see. And then you look at that and you go, okay, but of the group that's kind of in the same tier, people that are like, a couple hundred subscribers to 10,000.
Yeah.
There were a ton that weren't at that. There were dozens, and you think, wow, there's this community is just growing and growing and growing. And that's what's really cool to see it. And I'm so excited about doing these kind of things because it's fun to do the chat stuff and see them posting stuff. And it's the community of getting together and just chatting. And, I agree with you. I could talk gear stuff. I'm maybe a little bit more the gearhead, but I'm so interested in 22 of just being the meetup, genre stuff of like, let's put people together, let's sit around. Like, I thought that was so cool about what you guys are doing with, campfires and cat holes, is it's about sitting around the campfire. It's about talking. It's about hanging out with, everybody. So that's so cool to see.
And here's the thing. I don't care how many subscribers you have. I don't, because I had mine turned off for a while because I was like, I don't care about it. I don't care if you have 100, if you have 60, or if you have 15,000. If you're a cool person who has great campfire stories, I want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
And if you're not, if you're a douche, then I don't want to hang out with you.
Then we'll leave Brian at home.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Chris hung out with me when I had 0 subscribers. What's wrong with him?
Yeah, because it's not about that.
We still
It's
invite
really
Michael
not.
Peterson to stuff. So, I mean,
Right?
we're all inclusive.
Hey, Melissa.
Yeah.
Hey, Melissa. Yeah, it just doesn't matter. The whole, I'd like to separate the fun you have with the friends that you meet from the YouTube BS. I want the YouTube. There's a time and a place for that, but not
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's how many trips have we been on, Chris, to where we're like talking before the trip. Oh, we're gonna make this epic, video, and it's gonna be we're going to a great spot, and it's gonna be the guys hanging around, and we walk back to our trucks and we've got like 20 seconds of video. We have 0.
So many.
We had so much fun. It's just like, put the cameras down, enjoy the moment. We'll make good videos later. I could have double the videos. I would have made a video for every time we've been out just camping, and we just let's just have a good time. So that's the other great part of being in the community, is just the people you meet and the good times you have. It's been great.
I have met everybody here through YouTube.
Yeah.
There's no one here that I would have met in the grocery store looking at melons.
Yeah. Well, and I think the neat part about it is, this is a community that in a lot of cases, my normal friends look at this and go, wait, it's February and you want to do what? You're going to go to where and sleep in a tent? It's like 10 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Right. So they look at you like crazy. And I remember back at the beginning going, are there actually other people that like doing this stuff? Because I'm not finding any of them. And it wasn't until really Facebook groups and then YouTube where I really started to branch out. The Facebook groups where everybody then that liked it also, wanted to go hiking, wanted to go backpacking, do the adventures. The YouTube's neat because there's a slightly different twist to it of just people that, from a creative standpoint, I'm so blown away by some of them, what they put out, and just the creative. I was watching, Rob Pelton stuff this week and just marveling at, wow, his editing, his vision, like what he sees on trail is just so neat to see the creative side of how people put stuff together.
And how
I'm
they
constantly
grow with it.
seeing that.
How they grow with it. Like for instance, like Brian, he made a video this last time, the last one he put out, probably the best one he's done from a standpoint of the technical aspects and video and color and all that, and audio and editing and storytelling. And it was just a simple day hike. So you can make good videos out of anything.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Yeah. But here's another thing, like Trail Medic, he is in the chat right now. I watched Trail Medic to figure out where to go in the Deem a long time ago, what trails to go on, because when I was getting started. So here's this guy, they say you never meet your heroes, but here's this guy who I watched forever, and then he randomly strolls into our camp one day, and I'm like, oh my God. I called him Jason. Didn't know his name was Keith.
I know that guy. That's Jason.
That's Jason, the Trail Medic. Yeah, I called it. But yeah. And so now we're great friends. I talk to him almost every day. So that is the advantage of it, is making great friends like this group here.
Well, and this comment too, I totally get that too of my who was Ben from Hilltop Packs. I don't know if any of you saw, he had a post this week, a tent in the woods with snow on the ground. And he's like, my family just doesn't understand me, and I was like, I get that. totally. Because everybody looks at me like, you're nuts. What are you doing? You want to go to upper state, the upper peninsula of Michigan in the middle of the winter? And why? Like, do you have a death wish? I'm like, no, it sounds awesome. It sounds
stay
epic.
tuned. Stay tuned, because on Monday I'll probably be posting something like that, because I'm going out hot tenting this weekend. So you'll probably see something. I'll probably be posting something similar.
I think that's just so cool. Well, the hot tenting in general, for those that are here this week, come back next week. We're bringing on some folks to literally just talk about hot tenting, because I am the rookie of rookies to hot tenting. And I'm so curious about this space I've done winter backpacking. I've done winter camping and been comfortable, been warm, dressed appropriately. But the whole hot tenting thing of bringing a tent with a stove in it that heats the tent, where has that been all my life?
Yeah.
I'm in. Like, I just have to learn about it. So I want to bring on some folks that maybe are rookies like me, maybe that have a little bit more experience, and talk a little bit about this thing, hot tenting, but also to get me up to speed so that when I go up to Michigan, I don't freeze to death. And
can I give you your first lesson?
Yes.
Do not expect sleep.
Do not expect sleep. Okay.
Do not expect, especially if you're by yourself, don't expect it to go to sleep, at least for not very long.
Okay. Well, I'll keep that in mind, because it's a whole new world. The one thing that I have been told is dress and prepare all your gear like you're not in a hot tent. If you're in 0 degree weather, you better have gear that you're comfortable in 0 degree weather. If it's 20 degrees outside, bring stuff that it's like you're sleeping in a tent at 20 degrees, because it'll be warm when you're cooking dinner, and it might be warm when you're cooking breakfast, but the fire goes out in the middle of the night, and you're not going to get up every hour or whatever to stoke the fire. So I'm so curious just about what that's like. All I've done to this point is my hot tent is still sitting outside, set up. It's been there for almost a week, and I've been out there 2 different nights where the temperature's been in the low teens, getting the fire roaring, cooked some hot chocolate on it, hung out. I watched the college football national championship game from the hot tent.
Nice.
And watched a few live streams, 30 yards away from my house. But so I still had Wi-Fi, and just got used to, well, how much wood does this thing go through? How much do I have to process? How often do I have to stoke the flames to keep it going? Like, there was so much from a learning curve, but
how to set the dampers so that it burns longer.
I'm just starting to kind of even scratch the surface of some of that stuff, but it looks so cool to me. Yeah. Tim, we're going to talk to you about your video. I've been watching some of his stuff too. Cause he's a new hot tenor as well.
He's really going for it.
I would do it exactly like Tim's doing it. I'm a hammock guy, man. That is the greatest thing. Have your hammock in there and lay there.
Yeah.
Your hammock and put wood in the stove. Forget about it. That's the way to go for me.
And I'll be honest, until his video, watching that, I was like, oh, I didn't know there was hammock tents.
Oh,
hot tents.
I knew there was, but I didn't know that One Tiger made them.
Cool. So I watched that okay, like I could totally do that. I could, hang my hammock. I think I would like that, because I'm not a ground sleeper. I joke that I've evolved from that. But for my hot tent, I'm back on the ground, so I've got to deal with the cold.
Yeah. I'm actually, because of Tim's video, I'm considering getting one of those One Tigers ones, because I already got the stove. I'll just get the tent, and because it does look pretty spacious too. And my One Tigers teepee tent, if I fold myself into a C while I'm sleeping, I could fit in it. But it's kind of small.
That's what she said.
That is exactly what she said, Brian.
Well, that's
you got to beat him in his own game.
That's the other thing that I've noticed too about the hot tent since I've got started. So I have one, and they completely lie about how many people fit into a hot tent.
Oh yeah.
Like I bought one from Lux tent.
Lux. Yeah.
And it's an 8-person tent. It's not an 8-person tent. They're lying. It is not an 8-person tent. If you have a stove in there, unless you want to sleep under the stove, you're not fitting 8 people in there. You're not fitting 4 people in there. Like I looked at that and thought, I want firewood. I want my gear. I want my food. When you're hot tent camping, these guys bring like they bring sleds. They bring sleds full of gear. Right. I'm calling it. See, that's the rookie. I call them sleds. It's a polk. You know, that's how you can tell. If someone says sled, you're like, oh, they don't even know what they're talking about. It's a polk, right?
Yeah.
So they bring polk sleds into the backcountry, and they're like filled with like totes of like, I don't know, cast iron stoves and electric heaters. I'm like, what do you have? Like 10 miles of extension cord? How does that work? But they bring so much stuff, and they look like they have a blast out. It's like Memorial Day camp out, but it's negative 27 degrees. I was watching who was it? Midwest Backpacker. Jeremy and Rob and Miyagi, I think, and a couple guys that were doing like Boundary Waters. I think it was last year's video, even watching that. And they're just having a blast and huge fires and all this. And some are hammock camping and some are hot tenting. But, they brought so much gear. I'm like, I've never, like, that's a whole new world from the backpacking where it's like I've got a scale that measures by grams, So now I'm switching to, wait, I can bring cast iron. I got some lodge stuff. Maybe that I can cook up some steaks and we can have bacon in the morning and like eat like real people. That sounds pretty good to me.
Well, that never, I mean, the thing of that never stops Jason from backpacking with Jason. He brings a full meal anyway, and he's actually my inspiration to do that because I'm like, when I go out this weekend, I'm gonna have what am I gonna have? I'm gonna have a ribeye, and so I'm going to. Of course, I won't be that far from my truck either, so that there's that. So, but I got my tent. The reason I got the tent that I got is because it's one that you can backpack with. And so I can go, my total weight is like 6 pounds with the tent and the stove. I can go farther if I wanted to. But the problem is when you get to your campsite, you have to chop all that wood and process all that wood. What I'm doing this weekend is a pull off in the Hoosier National Forest next to my truck, and I'm bringing wood. That's what I'm doing.
Man, that's separates.
And I totally get this comment too of just the, like, your mind explodes with all the stuff that you have to think about. And then I think of what Chris just said of like the idea of just, I pull my truck in and I walk out and you sleep and you're warm. Like that's the highlight of the whole thing. You think I sleep and I'm warm and I get to eat real food.
Yeah.
And I don't have to backpack 10 miles. I don't need a dog sled. Like I'm totally set. So a dog polk, is that, if a dog pulls a sled, is it a dog polk team? I don't know.
We're gonna have to ask the northern boys.
I might have to have like Midwestern Backpacker and Rob and those Minnesota guys come on just to educate me.
What Buckley's saying there is, he said 27 below actual temps at Miyagi and Rob's trip. That separates the men from the boys right there. That's cold. That's the cold that could really kill. I mean, if you're not,
So I watched that video and I was so fascinated by that. Then I went and watched Jeremy's gear video. Like, what did I bring to not die? Which I think is what he should have titled it, is what did I bring to not die 27 below temperature? But it was like, I brought 12 layers of clothing. I brought, all this stuff. It was amazing going through that stuff. And I thought, I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have any of that. Like they were talking about, his boots that he brought, the wool, he's got wool overalls,
Wow.
And I thought, that's so smart. You're dealing with fire. Like you bring a puffy jacket to a hot tent, you're going to have problems. Am I right?
I've heard that.
Am I right? So, I bring a wool jacket, shirt, and overalls and all this stuff. And it was just like, there's a whole different game. I think if you're from Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Dakota, maybe not South Dakota. South Dakota, you probably still bring puffy coat to
not
to a
gonna
hospital.
let him live that down, are you?
Sometimes you have to buy a new puffy coat. You just wore yours
Well,
out.
I'm sorry.
It might just be that you look for something different. Maybe you go synthetic in your puffy coat the second time, the third time.
Asbestos.
You know, maybe that was the whole game right there. He's like,
Wool.
I really want a
Wool.
new enlightened equipment tour jacket. Maybe I'll just burn this
brilliant.
one. Oh, sorry, Whitney. I burnt this one all up. Got to get a new one. Not bad. Whoops.
Yeah.
Hey, GeoQuest is here.
Sorry.
What's up?
Talk about winners.
Talk about winners.
Howdy.
Sorry we had to duck out on your live stream Quest so we could do this one. Sorry.
Yeah, I was over there earlier too, just watching a little bit and checking it out too. And I felt bad. We were talking earlier, Chris and I were, when we realized, oh man, they do the stream at the same time every Thursday night. And I went and looked, and I'm like, well, at least they're at 7 o'clock. Like, I don't want there to be a whole lot of overlap. And Chris, you joked about earlier, like, there's so many live streams. How do you know, out there now? And my goal was like, how do we not overlap with anybody? Because I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. You know, I want to be supportive of everybody else's channel and what's going on.
We've had
a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, we've had that problem with Uptrail. Not a problem with him, but the fact that we overlap when we try to do, he wants that Wednesday slot as well. So when we try to do that, we like he had Spaguyver on. He had Spaguyver on his the other night, and during our nightmare of a one, so we all just need to get on a schedule and just like have a spreadsheet.
I was going to say, is there an Excel spreadsheet out there somewhere
where
we can
channels.
be like, all right, you take 7 to 8:15. I will take 8:16 to 9:30, and then
we'll form our own network. Yeah.
This is BS. THD ran over.
Yeah.
Ran over
a lot of time. I agree with Sloan here too. The winter backpacking is different. I'm actually looking at this year for the first time in years, actually getting a new pack with winter backpacking in mind, for like separating out. I had one backpack. I kind of made it be the jack of all trades, try and fit everything into one thing. It was not quite big enough for winter. It was a little too big for summer.
Yeah.
You know, it was in between. And I thought, okay, I've been doing this a few years now. I think I know what I like. That was the biggest issue, I think, at the beginning, is we don't know what we don't know. So trying to figure out what makes sense, what to get.
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, I know enough. I've done enough, multi-day trips somewhere where I know what I like. And I've been using the Z-Packs Arc Blast. Love that pack. I've been using it for 3 straight years, and it's been great. I've got very little bad to say about it. I think, the shoulder straps are starting to wear a little bit, to the point where the padding's not quite as lush as it was at the beginning. But I also think, for a summer pack, I probably don't need it quite so big. And for a winter pack, maybe I want a little bit more, so I can carry all the gear and the camera stuff and whatever. I ordered a sled today. A polk. See, again, gosh, I apologize, everybody. Please don't shun me from the community. But
a lot of Northerners in the chat.
I ordered technically it's in the title, it's a sled. So I ordered a sled. I'm going to convert it and make it a polk, because I watched Jeremy's video and about 12 other videos in the last week about how to take a sled and make it into a polk. So, and then I'm going to watch videos of how to make a polk into a dog sled and take my 2 dogs, because I think that'd be awesome.
Nice. But you were talking about pack. I'm switching packs this year. At the end of this month, I actually am getting a Waymark. I'm getting the 50 liter, and I've had the Z-Packs Arc Haul Zip for about 3 or 4 years, and again, shoulders wearing out, so that's why I'm switching. I'm going to try the Waymark this year.
Listen, have you ordered that pack yet?
I keep talking about it. I gotta wait till that sweet Amazon money comes in.
Stop. You're getting a 35 liter.
1250. Yeah.
You're going to get
that's
the
good
Evolve
Amazon.
35 liter because
No, I'm not.
you will stuff 70 liters into a 50 liter. I've hiked with you long enough, and you're always like, my pack's so
That's why I
heavy.
need.
My pack's so heavy. It's because you got a huge pack, man. And you put bricks and crap in it. I'm trying to keep it nice for Andy's sake. I just want to curse.
I like my creature comforts, my cooler cloth. I bring my cooler cloth. I like my creature comforts.
He's got a Z-Pack's chest pack that weighs as much as my whole pack. He's I might even stick you to a 30 liter. I always tell him we're going to do a shakedown before we even leave the parking lot, so you can be at least ultralight, or at least light. We're not even going for ultralight with you. We're going light.
Most of it's camera gear. Honestly,
Your pack is always so heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so I go with Brent from Smolder Outdoors on a lot of our outings, and he's in the camp that's like, I don't know if grams is a small enough measuring unit. I think we can get something smaller
Nanograms.
because, I want to get down smaller. And I applaud him because he's always, I think when we went to Colorado for 4 days, he's at I'm at 9 pounds and change, and I'm at 14 or 15. And that's not even including 4+ pounds of camera gear and stuff. Yeah. But he's super lightweight, and he's like, oh yeah, I barely even notice that I have it on. And then, it's it's a postage stamp for his coverage when the rain comes in. He's like, oh yeah, we got totally soaked, but it's only 6 grams. And I'm like, 6 grams for what? What are you doing? But it's the mentality of all that. It's funny.
Ross, but Ross is he'll be as ultralight as he can to the point of almost suffering. And I've seen you suffer, Ross, so don't deny that in the chat.
But the next trip, he's like old school Pathfinder series. Got all this awesome bushcrafting stuff too. And his pack weighs 90 pounds. I don't know.
Either end of the spectrum.
Yeah. He flips back and forth. I'm definitely looking into, and I think Buckley just said something about the Waymark mile. I'm really getting really close to pulling the trigger on that, because I think I can make that into my ultralight kind of summer pack. It's
how big is that?
It's 28 liter.
Okay, so that's and
that's the main body.
I have the Z-Packs Nero, which I believe is a 28 liter pack, and it's tiny but if you're doing a summer ultralight, you don't need a whole lot of stuff. I did the adventure hiking trail in Indiana, 2020 maybe.
We tried.
And with that, the only drawback is that's such a dry trail that you're carrying 10 pounds of water all the time. So for a frameless pack, 28 liters, it's kind of tough. I probably should have picked a different trail to use that on, but it was the challenge. He threw out, let's go frameless, let's go ultralight, let's go sub 10 pounds and do a frameless pack. Okay. And then we got there and we're like, I'm carrying 2 gallons of water because there's not a water stop until we get to the next place where we drop water. And it's 95 degrees in the middle of summer, and we were covered in ticks. So,
never do it in summer.
That's a trail I recommend doing in the middle of winter. You probably have much better views. You could, I don't know if I would ever do that again with a frameless pack, but there's other ones I would probably do. You could probably get away with doing the Tecumseh in the spring when it's cool, not cold, and there's lots of water everywhere. So you only have to go a couple miles. I'm only carrying 1 liter of water, maybe 1.5 liters, and you're getting resupplied.
Yep.
I could probably do something like that. Or if you're section hiking and just doing, hey, we're just doing an overnight and we're going to do the Low Gap Trail and do a 10-mile loop and 5 miles in camp, and there's a stream nearby, you can get by. I would do that with something like the mile, I think is similar. It's a frameless pack too, isn't it? It's like a sweet day pack, but if you're really size and weight conscious, you could make that work for an ultralight pack.
I had planned on getting the mile as well, but the mile I'm going to use for going up Mount Elbert. That's the only use for it.
You're right.
that I'm for day hikes and stuff like that. I'm
Yeah.
not, but I have the Nero too, and I agree with you. It's like, it's a nice pack, but it's too small.
That's the one that I took for Elbert. So I just needed to have rain gear, a puffy jacket, water, and some snacks, and that was about it.
I need something that will carry an oxygen tank.
Yeah.
Like nasal cannula into my nose.
If you get that into a polk and you drag that behind you,
Right.
it's perfect. You could put 2 tanks in that. It's like 50 pounds. You're set.
Right.
That's easy, right? It's only like 3,500 vertical feet in 4 miles or something.
Right.
So
Mm-mm-mm.
what's stopping you? Right. Are you doing that in 22? Is that the hope?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm training. I'm doing it in August. I am training for it now. I've started training for it now. And, it's like, I know Brian's got the section hike he's doing on the AT. I don't like long hikes like that. I would rather conquer mountains. So that's where I'm going to go. And that's a life regret, because I think I told you, I got to 13,300 and then weather came in the last time I tried it, and I had to, and that was so close. So I need to complete that so that I can be whole in my heart.
Well, Brent's on the other one. What's the other one that's out there that's within like 15 miles away of Elbert that is like class infinity, and it's like the knife's edge. No, it's even more like you're walking along like a section of trail where it's like this, and you're walking along the peak. And he sent me a video literally this week, and he's like, "Look at that, that's so cool." And I said, how does somebody pass you going the other way? And then he sent me a video back, and it's like a guy hanging off the side so that somebody could pass him and it's like 500-foot cliffs on either side. I said, that's just to get to the peak. You're nuts. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm not at that point yet, but I'm more power to you. I will like be in the helicopter that's like filming you.
Yeah.
During that stretch, but I forget what it's called. There's one out there that's like
Is it Long's Peak?
There's
Pikes Peak, and then I think there's Long's Peak. I think Long's Peak is the one with the rope and the dangerous one, I believe.
I'm gonna look it up and see if I can find it. Wow.
Yeah, hey Taylor, I'm going to start at Amicalola, and I'm doing the approach trail, and I'm going all the way to Dix Creek Gap. It's like 78-mile section.
Mm-hmm.
And then are you being shuttled back? Is that how you're doing that, Brian?
Yeah, I've already got a shuttle booked. So he'll pick me up there. We've got a set time on that Saturday. I'll be finishing up. So he's going to take me back to Amicalola. I talked to Andy at Metro on the Move because he lives really close under here. I know he's done a couple sections of that. And he was giving me some really good information about where to park my truck when I get down there, who to check in with, and just keeping my truck safe. That's why, I didn't really want to leave it at a parking lot in the middle of the woods at that Dix Creek Gap for, 6 days. So he definitely hooked me up.
That's pretty cool. That's nice. I think that's a bucket list kind of thing.
It is.
I was super pumped this year. So for 21, I got my first steps ever on the AT.
Mm-hmm.
And my first steps ever on the Continental Divide on the CDT. So
nice.
I've got the PCT to at least step foot on. But we did a section around Mount Elbert on that climb that you cross and do a section of the CDT. So that was the first time I'd ever touched that. And when we went to the Smoky Mountains in, when was it, March or April of 21, that was the first time I ever, I took pictures of the sign. It was like, it was funny. It was like an emotional moment just to come up on the AT and we were there for like 15 minutes and just kind of soak it in.
Did you roll around in the dirt and rub it on yourself?
Brent did, but I didn't.
That's how the AT is for me. I've, ever since I was a kid and playing in the woods and stuff, a buddy told me, he's like, yeah, there's some trail that you can hike all the way across the, Appalachian Mountains. Little did I know it went from Georgia to Maine back then. And when I got into backpacking, it started coming up and I'm like, man, that is just like an epic adventure. It's like, 4 or 5 months, just hiking, just being in the woods and enjoying it. So who knows? I would love to through hike it someday. It'll have to be when I retire. Just with my career, I can't just like take 4 or 5 months off. So I told my wife last year I was going to do it, and then I got I didn't follow through. So I said this year, hey, I'm taking a week, and I can knock the Georgia section out in a week. I'm going to get started. I want to see as much of it as I can, because who knows if I'll even be able to walk when I retire, let alone hike the AT. So,
Right.
if I can,
You got one
when I
life,
retire,
live it.
right, exactly. So, I mean, when I retire, if I can still hike, good. That'll be on my bucket list to knock out real soon. But until then, I'm going to knock sections out and see what I can see.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's so cool. Well, let me actually show this, because I think this is just crazy.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's
Yeah,
Capitol Peak.
Capitol Peak. Okay.
So there's a whole section, and I don't know if they call it like the knife's edge or if that's a different one. But there's a whole section where it's like this, where literally it's like a sheer face cliff on either side. And you have in some sections where literally it's like a foot or two of just the peak. And you're like 1 foot on one side, 1 foot on the other, and you're making your way across, just hoping to like not fall to your death, because there's actually somebody who fell to their death. And I'm not kidding, that it took like search and rescue. And I don't know if they've ever been able to recover the body yet, but because of the weather and because of falling rocks and things like that, it was like weeks or months that they couldn't get to wherever the person was. It was awful. But it's like you have to walk along that ridge line the whole way. It's just, and he's like, that sounds awesome. And I'm like,
He thinks that now, but
what part of you thinks that sounds awesome? And I've got like a slight, I don't have a fear of heights. I have like a fear of falling to my death. So it's a little bit different. But when I'm right on the edge of that stuff, I'm like, and even at like Red River Gorge or some of the places in Colorado, I'm like, that 1,000-foot cliff is awesome. I'll be over here though, watching from a safe distance. You go, more power to you. I wish I had the drone to capture that. But
when we went to Eagles Buttress, that's how I was coming up the goat path. Remember, Brian?
Oh yeah.
Scared or a little? Well, both. I peed myself a little bit, but also was breathing too heavy.
Yeah, that's a beautiful spot down there. I took 2 buddies that aren't really big into backpacking and hiking, but they wanted me to take them one time. So I took them to Red River Gorge, and I did the whole thing like we did. I took them up Indian Staircase, and then we went over and camped at Hanson's Point that night. But neither one of them have the fear of heights that I do. And we go up Indian Staircase, turn right, and take them over to show them Frog's Knob, right? Well, these idiots walk out there, and I have pictures. They are standing on the top of Frog's Knob looking down. I'm like, it's probably only 150 feet, maybe 200, whatever, but still, dude, you fall. It's like, it's over. And I'm just, I don't know. That's crazy.
It is. It's nuts to me. Everybody else that is in the chat is watching along. We're past the 9 o'clock hour. So if you're interested in doing a little Q&A stuff, now's the time to jump on with that. So if there's anything that you want to ask Brian or Chris about what they've got going on, their channel or whatever, fire those away, and we'll see if we can field a few of those before we wrap it up for the night. So but
Southern hiking, Taylor, I've done Angel's Landing too. That's sweet.
It's awesome.
I haven't looked that up, so that's totally new. That's not
Angel's
on my
Landing?
radar at all. Yeah, Angel's Landing. I haven't looked at Zion much at all. We've been looking at the winds in Wyoming. We've been looking at a few spots in California along the PCT is kind of on the radar when we do the trip out west. So Zion I'm aware of it, but I haven't looked at the details. So what's the story on Angel's Landing? So
I don't know if you've seen any videos on it. It's basically got chains. Thank you, Trail Medic. It's basically got chains that go up it, and there's sections where You leave this chain and you have to go over here and grab this one, and it is just it's not really that difficult or technical a hike, but it's just kind of scary.
Okay.
That's my take.
Is it like because you're close to the edge, like
Yeah.
type of
Oh
thing?
yeah.
The whole-
800 feet on one side, 1,000 on the other.
Oh, it's awesome. I've got a really horrible video of it, but it's when I first started making videos, so I wouldn't recommend that. But there's other videos on there. It's, to me, I don't like getting close to cliffs like at Red River Gorge, but when you get that high up off the ground, it doesn't look real. So the heights part didn't bother me, but the problem was we got there early, which you should do, and we hiked up, so there wasn't really much traffic coming down. But when we got up there, hung out, and started coming down, that's when it was crowded. Everybody was coming up, and it was the same kind of thing. It's a narrow path, and you're trying to hang off to the side to let somebody by you, or vice versa, trying to get back down it. It took just as long to get down as it did up, just because there was so much traffic coming up.
Yeah.
But it's if you get out to Zion, that is a must see down there.
All right, that's on the agenda. I will have to look that up and do a little bit of research on that.
Also Half Dome. I've done Half Dome too. So
Half Dome, yeah. I have to on that as well.
Southern Hike has a great video on the Narrows they did. So that's another. I didn't get to do that,
yeah.
but that's one I'd like to do out
who's
there.
the other
I love
one? Devin, who's out there. He's based out of Utah. He does a ton of stuff in and around that kind of area. I think he's got a ton of videos on that sort of thing. So I'm looking to try and get a spot in the Whites sometime, potentially this summer. But I'm not guaranteed on that because I'm looking at the Whites. I'm also looking at maybe doing a canoeing backpacking trip into the Adirondacks. So at some point in time, I'd really love to do that as well. I don't know how it's all going to fit. I know the winds in Wyoming is tentatively slated right now for kind of early August. So there's potentially something in late July. There's potentially something in September that has yet to be determined. I'm just trying to juggle, and I'm trying to do some different meetups and whatnot as well too. I think we have a caller that's doing a call-in question, so I am going to connect to the caller and see if we can't do another question. Yep, let's see.
Have a caller.
We've got a caller. Here we go.
Oh no!
Hey,
Hello.
look!
No, look at this guy.
What's up,
Hey
man?
guys,
What's
up?
going on, Mr. Buckley?
Tim from Backpacking with Buckley. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, fine gentlemen?
We are doing awesome. Do you have a question for the panel, the distinguished panel?
Yeah, I was just curious if you guys would go through and rank who your favorite Indiana YouTubers are.
Nah, yeah.
Well, none
Andy
of them are
Parrish,
here
Doors, of
tonight,
course.
right? No, none of them are here, right? It's all people.
Right, they're not in the
are-
room.
right.
You're looking at all three Indiana backpackers.
You have more than South Dakota, though.
How
No,
many are in
no,
South Dakota?
YouTubers, maybe.
Man, I don't know. I know of maybe 2 others other than me.
So when you
That
do
are
a
in this-
South Dakota
in this
meetup,
genre.
it's like you just hanging out by the campfire by yourself.
Yeah, I got a monopoly going on here.
That's good for business, though, right? You
Yeah,
know,
it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the east side of the state, so I have to venture to guess that in the more exciting half of the state, there's more. But
Okay.
I have yet to meet them.
Okay. Well, the plans for 22. So Tim, what's your plans for 22? What are you up to this year?
Man, I'm kind of like in stages of development yet. I have a possibly Arkansas thing coming up. I might go back to Arkansas, do the Eagle Rock Loop.
Okay. I was looking at the
Peterson does that.
Ozark Trail and sections of that. I haven't looked at Eagle Rock. Okay.
The Ozark Trail also looks appealing. It's a thought about doing a section of that maybe too. It's still undecided, but yeah. Other than that, man, I'd like to get together with some friends again this year, and like you guys were talking about earlier, it's a double-edged sword a little bit because it's like, what direction do I go? I'd love to engage in every trip,
Yeah.
Right.
but
You can't do
yeah, I
everyone,
don't-
right?
yeah, I'm hoping some guys come out to South Dakota, looking at around June 23rd. That's a pretty open house invite. Chris and Brian, I think, know about it, but Andy, the more the merrier. We're kind of trying to do maybe a repeat performance of Kentucky. So that'll kind of be an open house, so to speak. I mean, there will be limits. I'm not sure how many we can tactfully get away with, but I'll communicate with it when I get to a point where it's overflowing. But yeah, that'd
There's
be
like
great
a
to get some
limited
folks out.
number of people that are allowed in South Dakota at one time, right? There's like only so many.
Especially out of staters. Yeah.
They're like double for that weekend. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're still under 1 million people in South Dakota total.
That's
Nice.
That's
Wow.
really cool.
And
Now,
I live
you
in
guys-
Sioux Falls, which is about 300,000 of those million.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
you came down to, was it Red River Gorge that you met up with Chris and Brian?
Yep.
What was
One
that
of the best trips
experience
of my
like?
life.
Was
What's
it really?
that? Yeah.
What was it like hiking with these guys?
That,
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
in the back.
honest to
I'm in the
God,
back.
generally I'd be a smart ass, but it was genuinely just exactly what it looked like, I guess, on the film. Is that it was weird to have that many guys get along like friends, like, so quickly. And it was just a really unique experience. Yeah, it was so fun. Never a dull moment.
What was it? Was it like hiking with Tim, guys?
Well, Tim was nice enough to stay back with me in the back because that's where I always am. For when we're on our way to Cloud Splitter, but no, we shared a moment in the woods for a little bit while
It was very tender.
It was very
Wow.
tender, yeah.
Some cuddling. Is there a big spoon and a little spoon that we need to know
A
about?
big
or-
spoon,
We
little spoon.
said we'd never tell.
Right. There was remember the tree we had to climb through, Chris. That was kind of where some stuff happened that we'll keep to
Yeah.
ourselves.
like some gentle touching. Anyway,
Yeah.
But no, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. I just wish I could have been physically better to do more of the hike. But these guys killed it. They killed everything that we set out to do.
I mean, come on,
Yeah.
I showed up fashionably late for you guys. As usual. That's my MO anymore, ain't it, Chris? I just show up in the dark and it's like, hey, everybody's been here for hours. I'm finally here.
Yeah, it shows up headlamps, Indian staircase, which was
Yeah. I climbed the staircase in the dark.
you got respect points right off the bat for that, Carlson.
Yeah, you got street cred for that.
Right?
Where'd you guys camp the first night? Because you did, was it Indian Staircase the first day and like Council Chamber and Cloud Spit, somewhere around there?
Like if you Indian Staircase, we went up it and then we went around the ridge, so we were like off to the left, pretty far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had view of like Indian Staircase roughly. Yeah. I totally know where you are. I did that on the winter camp out back in 2020 and I'd never been there. So I, backpacking with Jason, who kind of coordinated your guys' trip, was the one that was like texting me, well, you got to stay here and you got to look at this spot. And like, everybody goes this way, but don't go that way. Take a left and go down this unmarked trail. And then there's like gold and you get a pot of gold. And I was like, he's right. There's a pot of gold at the end of the trail. He's like a leprechaun or something, but
This is Jason in a book, by the way.
Right.
And is that the one that you did for the giveaway?
Yeah. So Jason's knowledge is can fill this book.
And Hoot signed that book last night.
So
Did he autograph it for?
is Jason's claim to fame that he can just read? Is that all it is? He read that book?
That's what I'm really getting at.
Reading, writing,
Oh.
arithmetic.
He's not
Yep,
listening
that's what he-
tonight, so
That's his words.
That's funny. So what else is going on, guys? So you've got a thing in June. Do you have other big plans, Tim, for the rest of the year? Is there anything big, or do you want to kind of hold that? I know how the YouTube thing is. We don't necessarily want to spill the beans before it's time. I get that.
There's not any really major shockers. I'm being a bit peer pressured to, I can spill the beans to, and flattered to join that crazy endeavor on the Boundary Waters in February with Miyagi and those guys.
Okay.
And I'm flattered to have the peer pressure from them, but I'm with you, Andy, who is looking at the checkbook decline if I have to prepare for that trip. So I've committed 80%. I told them I'm 80%. Let's see what my paychecks are like and my fear level, to be quite frank. I mean, I'm all about winter, but that is some extreme stuff. And
Now,
they've
you get-
assured me that they'll keep me safe and warm. But
You
It
you
is
get stuff
Miyagi.
though like that near you though, don't you? Don't you get some pretty brutal temperatures?
yeah, that's we're in Suckville, man. We have the temperatures, but not the, at least not the prettiness of the snow. We're actually supposed to get 8 inches tomorrow, which is magnificent. I'm excited for the scenery change. But yeah, we'll get down pretty cold, but I've never gone 20 below zero, you know. My quilt's rated for like 15, and even if I stack them, which I could maybe get down there if I brought my 90 liter or a Polk, but then I'd have to buy a Polk too. So
See,
I'm
look
right
at
there
him.
with you.
He knows the lingo too. You know,
Yeah.
I call it a sled. He calls it a polk. You're already
Well, I
way
was
ahead of where I
watching.
am.
I was
Yeah.
watching, so I was up to speed.
Yeah,
Well, I
see,
watch too, but I slip up all the time. So you know, it's a sled. No.
Yeah.
All right. All
yeah,
right.
see, it's a Polk, and Chris is getting 8
Well,
inches tomorrow. Just
so
like
did
South
you
Dakota.
watch their 27 below video that they did like last year, Miyagi and
Yeah.
Jeremy and those guys?
Yeah.
They look like they're like completely at home, not a problem in the world.
They didn't even have a hot tent with. This year,
well,
that's the appeal. They have
they
hot
had-
tents, but last year there's 2 of them in hammocks, I think.
okay.
Oh my god.
And then Miyagi and their goofy friend Milos, the funny guy.
Yeah.
That guy's known to like literally sleep in the Polk sled, and I'm not exaggerating. Like he
Wow.
needs like a fleece blanket and a pair of socks, and he's good to go. Like that guy is insanely adept to cold weather. That's what intimidates me, is they do look like they're having more fun than is possible.
Yeah. Would you guys, Chris, Brian, would you ever sleep in 27 degree below?
Yes.
Even if you had a hot tent, would you do that?
I'd
You
give
do
it a
that,
shot
Chris?
as long as I had the right
I
equipment.
wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd do it.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. How far away from being able to do that, like gear wise? Like, are you like Tim and myself, where you got to get pretty much everything if you want to pull that off? Or do you have a lot of that stuff where, oh yeah, I could probably do that this winter if needed?
I would need a new underquilt. I have a 0 degree bag. I would need a new underquilt, maybe a 0 degree underquilt. And
Be right back, guys. Work's calling me.
and
Yeah.
I would probably tape a bunch of hot hands to my body, but I would be other than that, I'd be down.
Yeah. Well,
I would have to buy a bunch of stuff. Like I was looking at everything from like insulated boots, you know, and they're like, and the funny thing is that video that I watched, and Tim, I don't know if you noticed this too, they all wear like the exact same thing. So it's like, oh, they're all in like the, I don't know, the wool coat,
like the wool
shirt
overcoat, and
thing.
they all have they're called Steger mucklucks. I
Mucklucks.
believe they're made. I believe they're made in northern Minnesota. Even they're really popular.
They are, and they're good
But
to like
I'll
40
let you in on
below.
a little secret. It's not all 100% necessary. I mean, not that I'm an expert myself, but I was thinking about getting some of the warmest boots are those pull-on like rubber boots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? They
Yeah.
make some Arctic, more ice fishing. I mean, you might not want to
Like,
hike in them, but
Like the muck boots, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I
brand.
totally know this. Yep.
Yeah, I'm
And-
thinking about going that route because those mucklucks also take about half an hour to take on and off with all that cordage and all that stuff. I mean, no doubt they're warm, but most of
Get a
what
Charlie horse.
yeah, and because you use them in such cold weather, their standard purchase is non-waterproof. So that's something you have to either pay extra for, or do yourself, or just go without.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we could do it on the cheap, Andy. You guys come
Yeah.
up north. We'll head into Minnesota and do some crazy stuff.
We'll just make a stop at Walmart before we go. We'll
Right.
pick up everything
Yeah.
we need. We'll get
Yeah.
a
Couple
sled,
emergency
a Polk,
blankets and yeah.
Maybe I've been reading too much David Goggins, but I would do it. You know, I would stay hard. I would, I think I would definitely do that because I like the challenge of that, right?
So there
Yeah.
was a video this winter, I think it was this winter, that was just posted like within the last month. And I don't think it was posted by Jeremy or Rob Pelton yet. Maybe they've posted their versions, but it was posted by one of the guys that went with them. And he suffered from like the 2.5 mile hike in. he was way overdressed and he was sweating like crazy. And they got to camp and he was talking about like, I was throwing up. I was so hypothermic and having issues. And they pretty much, we had to wait for Rob, who was behind everybody, to show up with the hot tent. Like they kind of got separated and they got there a little faster. Maybe they were working a little harder and they were sweating in their gear, and they got to camp and stopped and they just froze.
Yeah.
And so they were waiting for Rob to show up with a hot tent and getting it set up. And those guys pretty much were like, you guys are the rookies. You sit in there. We'll go get the firewood. We'll process. Like I was watching that going, holy cow. And this guy's video like stopped on the hike in and then didn't pick up until like the next morning because he's like, sorry, dude. I was like, I almost died, you know, and it wasn't quite that bad, but it was like, I was sweating and I was frozen and they pretty much put me in the hot tent. I was throwing up and I was like, holy cow. Like,
yeah, I talked to Rob on the way back. He was with Mike Ghost and Swag on the Trail. Is that the one you must probably watched?
Probably was.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was really on the point of danger for those two, because they had sweat out. They had no insulation qualities in the clothing they were wearing. And it got gnarly. And Rob, they didn't know the snow was going to be that deep. And Rob's poke was heavy because he bought like a steel stove because he wanted something that really retained heat.
Yeah.
And so it's 20 pounds. So he had a huge load, and he's a good hiker. I mean, that guy's stud, but he gassed out. So yeah, it got it, you know, half an hour worth of mistakes on either side of that, and you could have been in a real, you know, troublesome situation. Yeah. That's why I wouldn't do it alone. I wouldn't want to do it alone.
Yeah.
It takes a team.
Yeah. That was the thing that I took from that is you need, because you probably want somebody, even if like say the hot tent's behind you and you're waiting on that to show up, you're getting the fire going and the guys are sitting in front of the fire, at least warming up, and you get it, that thing as big and as hot as you can get the thing going. But it's tough because I don't know if you've ever been to Boundary Waters, but I've been there a couple times, and the sites where the campsites are, they're picked clean from good firewood because they're so popular in the summertime. So even in the wintertime, and they talked about a little bit in the videos that like they're going to the other side of the lake to scout a couple areas where, hey, it's I think Jeremy said like this area is a bog normally, but it's great because it's all down trees and dead trees and we can just collect a bunch of stuff. It's just, you know, 800 yards on the other side of the frozen lake. We got to haul the pulks over there, load them up and come back. So the guys are freezing in the meantime until you get like a fire started and all that. So it just talks about, you know, the skill of getting fires going quickly, maybe in bad situations. What if it's in an emergency if you absolutely need to? Going in a group makes.
I can recommend Bushcraft, Bigfoot Bushcraft fire starters. I am an ambassador, and I can get you 20% off. See me after the show.
Shameless,
we'll get those fire
plugs. Yeah.
Are those rope-looking things, Chris?
Yeah, they look like little plugs, like and you just like mini tampons, and you just kind of break them apart and light them. Yeah, they're real good though.
Nice.
Yeah, 20% off.
20% off.
20%.
I think
the price will never go up.
It'll never go up. That's right. I'm hawking all kinds of gear tonight.
Yeah, man.
So, Brian, would you do that trip? Would you do the 27 degree below Fahrenheit northern Minnesota 3-day backpacking trip?
Man, if I had the right gear, I think it'd be an adventure. It'd be it'd be a challenge. I like a challenge, and 27 degree below zero, that's a challenge. I think the lowest I've been out overnight is like 5 degrees above. So I don't know. I mean, you know, if you've got the right gear, I would definitely be nervous and researching like crazy, like what should I be taking with me? That kind of stuff. I'd want to be prepared because that's the kind of stuff you don't mess around with those temperatures. That temperature can kill pretty quickly. So, but I mean, it looks, I've watched Rob's videos and Miyagi's and those guys have a blast up there. So it's just a different kind of camping, but if you're prepared correctly and do your research and know what you're doing, then I think you can have a great time. But think it's the people that go out and don't prepare. Those
So
are the ones
another-
that have not such a great time.
In other words, go with those guys. Like if you're
Right.
gonna go out, if you're the rookie, if you're the newbie, and so Tim, if you got an invite to go with those guys, like of all the people, I would feel most comfortable. Okay, Jeremy, you're there. You know, Rob's there.
Right.
Milo, whoever. Like, great. I'm the rookie. I'm the one that you got to like worry about. But
Yeah.
I would
Well,
probably do that.
that's I mean, that's reassuring that you say that, Andy, because that's exactly what I'm kind of trying to repeat in my own head. Like, you want to do this is the time, you know. And I've never met Miyagi yet. He's somebody I'd love to meet. So it's like,
Likewise. Yep.
it's unfortunate. I wish money didn't rule the world so much, man. I'd be at the sporting goods store tomorrow spending $1,200 on what I need.
That's
Then
probably what it would
the
take,
decision
right?
would be easier.
Like I'm looking at snowshoes. I'm looking at
crampons.
you know, yeah,
possibly.
all of that. I'm looking at thicker, you know, would I wear wool? Would I bring down? I've got a down jacket that's probably good to about 10 degrees
The lace frilly
hanging
kind
out
that
at
you like to
camp.
wear.
But if I'm getting way below that, do the, you know, does Hammock Gear and all those, you know, underquilt makers, do they have the negative 40-degree underquilt? Is that out there? I'm not aware if it is.
I know that Restless Outdoors, he had a conundrum from Enlightened Equipment. He had it's a quilt, and his was, I think, 10 below. So you can get that low. I don't know that they have anything lower
Yeah.
than that.
I think Superior Gear, you can get I want to say a 15 below hammock.
Okay.
But I think your best bet to go with on that is stacking quilts, because
Yeah,
how often do you need a 15 below hammock?
Right.
exactly. Well, and that's the thing. So I've done down to single digits, 7-degree, 8-degree, something like that. And I stacked a 20-degree and a 40-degree and was toasty warm, no problem. So the problem is, how do you figure out math wise what's the equation to get to negative 27? I don't know what it is, because if you add a 0 and a
fire.
20, what does that put you to? I have no clue.
Yeah, there is an equation for it. I think actually Danny from Superior Gear knows it, or
Does he?
has a couple of videos on it in
Okay.
accordance to his stuff. But yeah, the only thing I do know is it doesn't stack. So if you do a 30 and a 30, that doesn't mean that you're down to, what would that be, Chris? 30 below 0 or whatever.
Yeah,
And
minus 60 or
yeah, it doesn't transfer that directly. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I don't know the math. We should ask Jeremiah Stringer. He's a mathlete.
Pro tip.
Yeah,
hikers.
yeah.
Wouldn't your Kula cloth
What's
freeze?
going on?
I think mine would.
All right. So in the Adirondacks, what are the temperatures you're looking at in the middle of the winter? I'm so curious about this. Like if you're doing a winter camp out in New York, what does that look like? Is that anything like what they're dealing with in Minnesota? Post that. I'm curious to see that later.
Who's that?
That was
Unlikely.
Unlikely Hiker.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Melissa?
Yeah,
Melissa. Yeah.
it's hardcore out there for snow depth. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you get all the lake effect stuff too that comes across. I've been up towards the Buffalo and over to Rochester stuff, but I've never done the, hey, let's spend multiple days out. I'm so curious. And you know, it's good in the woods. Justin from
Oh yeah.
up in the New England area, I watched some of his stuff too. You know, just temperature wise, trying to get a feel for, hey, what's normal for the environment. I watched the guys in Minnesota. Hey, what's normal for boundary waters? It's crazy what they do, and it's completely normal. And then just, you know, hey, Indiana, we're going to get down to 0 a couple times a year. Maybe we'll have snow, maybe not.
Yeah.
But, you know, otherwise it's going to be teens and 20s and no snow. So you're not dragging a sled or a polk or whatever. Sorry about that again. But that's the way that that's Indiana. So, you know, we're looking at going to Michigan for some weather. I'm also looking to go to New York. I'm looking to go to New England because those videos look so awesome. Who doesn't love the hot tent with, hey, we got 8 inches of snow last night and we're cooking a nice ribeye over the fire.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks so peaceful when Justin's like, even when he's like banging the snow off the leaves and stuff like that. There's just something about that whole scene. But yeah, I'm like you Indiana guys. I mean, we get colder here than you, maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
we don't get the snow. And the older I get, the more I actually want it, other than on my flipping driveway. But
well, that's the part that I think the most people don't get that are like friends. They're like, wait, you want the snow? You want the like, well, yeah, I want the epic experience. I want the 8 inches of snow, and I can't get out because there's so much snow, and I gotta brush it off the end of the tent, and I gotta fight my way out, and there's a grizzly bear there, and I tackle it, and whatever. But that's what we all want. As long as we survive and we can post it later and we can talk about it with our friends over a beer, and it gets, it was, so it was, maybe it was a squirrel to begin with, but by the end of the story, it's a grizzly bear, and we go from there.
Hot tenting without snow is kind of, I'm going to do it this weekend, but hot tenting without snow is kind of useless in my view. It's like, you want the snow, you want the whole, like you said, the whole experience. If you don't have it, it's kind of like, well, I wasn't really that cold last night, but I got,
well,
it's not the same.
You look at, like, my coldest trip was -20, upwards of 8 to 12 feet. Like, I'd be thrilled with, hey, we got like 8 inches of snow. Awesome. Like, it looks great. 8 to 12 feet on some of the summits. That's amazing. Yeah, I would love to. Well, I say that I would love. I would love to be in that environment until I'm there, and I'm like, this is cold. I want to go. I'm not used to this. But I think some of that, Brian, you talked about this. Like, some of it's a gear. Like, you get the right gear, and you're set up, and you look at those guys that do it, and they're like, yeah, we can sit at camp for 6 hours, and it's not.
I think it's just like us down here. We prepare for the weather. I mean, we going out of January, February day, it's we're looking at low 20s tops, so we're prepared for it. Same thing up there. They prepare for what they're gonna find out there on the trail. If it's gonna be -27, I'm sure they're prepared, or they're not probably making it back. That's, like I said,
we wouldn't know who they are.
That's stuff you don't play with up there. I mean, you might get around making a mistake or being stupid around here and survive, but you're not surviving that stuff if you don't prepare. So, I mean, same.
Absolutely. Well, if anybody has any final questions, go ahead and throw those in now. We'll kind of give you a minute or two. We'll wrap up the conversation. I think everybody's been great to be here. A big shout out to,
awesome.
Also Chris and Brian and Tim for jumping in late, and everybody that's been in the chat the whole time. It's been a lot of fun to watch the conversations go on simultaneously with
a lot about my Kula cloth technique.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that too.
It's left, right, down, center. That's how I do it. So that's just so you know.
It's like an old Nintendo move.
That's right. Up,
A,
down,
B, A.
left, right, BA, select start. Go. That'll like get you to Mike Tyson's Punch Out or something, which has totally been erased
We're all
from
showing
existence.
our age now.
But right.
No, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm glad
it's good to see you, fellas. Yeah, it's great to see you guys.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to have a little. We'll spring it on you at the end to have Tim on. So thanks, Tim, for.
I was expecting Hoot, but Tim will work.
Who was talking about showing up at my house?
I know,
which hasn't happened yet. But I'm not saying that won't.
Well, he showed up at mine.
30 minutes, right? He was at yours. So 30 minutes from now, he may show up saying, "Hey, you guys still live streaming?" No.
You got a beer?
I'd go live again if Hoot shows up, just because it's worth it for the entertainment value.
That's right. That's right. So, all right. Well, why don't we wrap it up here? Brian, Chris, thanks so much for you guys coming on today and talking a little bit about campfires and cat holes. Everybody, if you haven't yet gone, look at YouTube, do a search, campfires and cat holes. It's their new stream that they're going to do every Wednesday night. What time, guys?
Every other Wednesday. It's going to be about 8 o'clock.
Okay, so every other Wednesday, roughly 8 o'clock, they're gonna do similar thing, different people, different conversations, timely stuff. So go check that channel out. Subscribe to that. Go look at the last one that they did. I know, Tim, you said you watched a little bit of that.
No.
It's
vicious.
It's like a car wreck that you can't turn away from, and you're just like,
man.
what am I watching? But
It's
you
hard
can't
when
turn
it's your
away.
friends and you're helpless.
It's hard being there and being helpless.
We're all in the same boat together, though. We're all learning this stuff. We're all trying to figure it out, make some sense of it. Tim, thanks for jumping on today too. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Good
to
to see
see
you,
ya.
buddy.
Everybody
bet.
that's been watching and commenting, we really appreciate you guys. Look for us next week. I'm actually going to be doing a stream again, and I don't do it every week, but I am going to be doing a stream next Thursday, 8:00. Some special guests. Okay. I may have mentioned them in the stream tonight. Who's going to be on that stream? I'm not going to tell you tonight, but watch for posts on Facebook, on Instagram. There's going to be other stuff. And then go check out these guys too. You know, they do a bunch of great stuff. You can find Brian on Carlson Adventures. You can find Chris on That Hiking Guide. They do a lot of great stuff and meetups and commentary and a whole range of different things. So support these guys. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, be well.